Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're going to look at the last deck from Worldwake, which is Rapid Fire, which is a white and red deck. Just want to say Rapid Fire is a great name for a white-red aggro deck. But yeah, let's dive into it, start looking at it. So so as I said, white red aggro. It has a bit of a landfall theme to it, which is this is the second landfall deck in Worldwake, but at least this one is feels different because it's not green. It's not green blue. It's not an exact reprint of one from Zendikar. So that's interesting. So we'll start off. Let's look at Kosi's Ravager, which is 3 in a red. It's 2/2, has landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under control, it does 1 damage to target player. Yep, this is fine. Turns every land drop into like a very small ping effect. Yeah, I think this is okay for a common. Yeah. A single Giza Glider, so 3 and 2 red for a 4/4. Whenever a land ends the battlefield under your control, it gains flying turn. So it's kind of annoying that it requires a land to essentially become air elemental, I suppose. But it's not. We don't usually have red flyers. At this, especially at this time in the game. It's kind of uncommon and at like this kind of size at 4/4, which is fairly chunky without them being dragons. So yeah, I think this is okay. And even if you don't get the land, I suppose it's a 4/4 for 5 with no drawbacks. Sure, I'll take it. Single step links. I really wish there'd been more than one step links. But 1 white mana from 0/1 has landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under control, gets +2/+2 turn to turn. Yep, this is fine. This is obviously pretty aggressively costed. This could swing for you could drop this turn 1 and then turn 2 it could swing for 2. I guess. Step links is okay. Has quite a high potential just because it can really punch up just if you keep getting your landfall triggers. So yeah, it's okay. A single fledgling griffin, 1 and a white for a 2/2. Whenever land enters the battlefield under control, it gets flying turn to turn, which is okay, I guess. I was never too impressed by this one, really, but it's all right. It's okay, I suppose. Again, at the very least, if you don't get the land drop, it's at least a 2/2. Which is kind of underwhelming, honestly, in white, but it's fine. It's it's okay. Single core cartographer, 3 and a white for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you can search for a plains, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. So get extra land for the turn, which helps out stuff like step links and Kosi's Ravager. Yeah, this is fine. 2 Pilgrim's Eye, 3 mana for a 1/1 flyer. When it enters battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Again, this is fine. Just to search up land, so you can reliably drop a land every turn, and get your landfall effects. Yep, again, perfectly fine. A single Ruin Ghost. This is really interesting, and I kind of wish there'd been more than one, even though it's an uncommon. So 1 and a white for a 1/1. You pay 1 white, tap, exile a land you control, then return to the battlefield under control, so you can flicker a land, which is really good because it comes back in and you get all your landfall triggers again. So this is really good. If you were looking to expand this deck, you would have obviously tried to get more Ruin Ghosts because it synergizes quite well. You're the landfall creatures. So yeah, good card to include. And then a Core Skyfisher, 1 and a white for a 2/3 fly, which is like a really good cost. When it ends the battlefield, you have to return a permanent you control to owner's hand. So with this, you would just return the land, I guess, and then immediately play the land again. Maybe not. If you're playing this turn 2, you wouldn't immediately play the land. But you've returned the land so you can play it again, get landfall triggers. And also it's a 2/3 flyer for only 2, which is pretty strong. So yeah, it's all right. And then the foil face rare of the deck is Mordant Dragon. So 3 and triple red. Triple red is kind of a bit annoying in a 2-color deck, but at least you've got like land searching options. You've got like the Pilgrim's Eye to maybe search up extra mountains if you need it. So it's a 5/5 flyer. Has a fire breathing ability for 1 and a red. Whenever Mordant Dragon deals combat damage to a player, you can have it deal that much damage to target creature that player controls. So I really like Mordant Dragon. And because it's just really good, kind of kitchen table rare. I think it's a big flyer, has a fire breathing effect. If it gets through and hits a player, you can still like kill off a creature, which is it's just really good. So it is this absolute lose-lose situation for an opponent. Like, do I block this and lose my creature, or do I let it through, take damage, and it still kills a creature. So yeah, I really like Mordant Dragon. Has nothing to do with landfall, you know, in the landfall deck, but you know, it's fine. It's you know, it's a decent late game threat, and yeah, can get kind of out of control if it's not dealt with. So yeah, I like Mordant Dragon. Yeah. We have a single core Firewalker, so 2 white mana for a 2/2, protection from red. Whenever a player casts a red spell, so not just your opponent, can be you as well, you gain 1 life. So this obviously goes quite nicely. As you cast red spells, you gain life for it. Yeah, this is fine. And I think this was used as a bit of, you know, as a good sideboard card against obviously like red decks at the time, just because, you know, it's basically taking 1 damage off every burn spell that gets played against you. So yeah, I think it's a good card to include here as well, because obviously it benefits you as well. Single Grotag Thrasher, so 4 and a red for a 3/3. Whenever it attacks, target creature can't block this turn. Sure, sure, like pretty serviceable common, I think. Yeah, it's all right. And then a single Goblin Rough Rider. It's just 3/2 for a 3 mana. Yeah, it's fine. Dragon Whelp. I'm getting so tired of seeing Dragon Whelp in these red decks. So yeah, so 2 and 2 red for a 2/3 fly. It has fire breathing, but if you do its fire breathing 4 or more times, it dies. Sure. And then Prodigal Pyromancer, again, getting really tired of seeing Prodigal Pyromancer in these decks. 2 and a red for a 1/1, taps do 1 damage to target creature player. Perfectly fine, like perfectly fine. This is just a slide of things being absolutely fine and boring and serviceable, you know. I think what it is, like, so many decks are using these M10 cards to fill the uncommon slots, because slight tangent, I'm going to talk about it now. Because, you know, I was, you know, while reviewing these decks and putting the slides together, I was you know, quite disappointed looking at some of them. Like, oh, I'll do my usual, like, what could have been, where I suggest, you know, I build alternate decks. And I was like, I wonder what the ratio actually is for these 41 card decks. So it's still 2 rares, and it's like 9 uncommons, I think. Which is, you know, it's a lot. Normally the 60 card decks had 13 uncommons, but yeah, these 41 cards have 9. I think it's 9, and there is just not the card pool in Worldwake or like Zendikar to really support it, or like support like the strategies. So I think that's the reason why so many M10 cards get used, and it's like the same M10 cards again, because like, oh, we need an extra uncommon, like, oh, we use Dragon Whelp, or we use Righteousness, or Rise from the Grave, you know, like, that's why those cards keep showing up, because there just honestly weren't enough uncommons that were like worth putting into, or like, I don't know, weren't deemed, I don't know, suitable for these decks. I don't know, it's just very weird. Anyway, minor tangent aside. Oh yeah, Armored Ascension, that's another one that's shown up a few times, I think. Single Narrow Escape, 2 and a white, return a permanent you control to owner's hand, you gain 4 life, so you can return a land and play it, get landfall triggers. Even though actually in retrospect looking back, there weren't that many landfall triggers, were there? There was Geyser Glider, Step Links, and Kosi's Ravager, and only Step Links and Kosi Ravager care about multiple lands a turn, because Geyser Glider and Fledgling Griffin just get flying until end turn. There's no point getting flying more than once a turn. So, anyway, I think Narrow Escape is too expensive. I really think there should have just been either 2 mana or just 1 white mana and like gain slightly less life. Yeah, I think it's too expensive at 3. Single Armored Ascension, 3 and a white. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for every planes you control and has flying. Yeah, obviously this hurts in a 2-card deck, because you're not going to get maybe as many planes as you want. It's okay. I think it turns any creature you put it on into like a decent threat, though. I think even if this gives +2/+2 and flying, it's all right. But yeah, that's fine. So the other rare of the deck is Chain Reaction. So 2 and 2 red, does X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. So it's like a fine board wipe. It doesn't have amazing synergy with what you've got, though, just because you've got a lot of kind of small creatures as you're going wide. This is going to hurt you just as much. I mean, I suppose you have Core Firewalker, who is going to survive this, but yeah, it's a okay rare to include. I suppose, I don't know. I feel like it could have been better, but again, like, there just weren't that great rares in Worldwake to choose from. And the rares that, the cards that did have good landfall triggers were mythic rare, which aren't included in a pre-constructed deck. So Yeah, it's a real shame. That's just, I don't know. I've not been keen on these Worldwake decks, as you can probably tell. Single Act of Treason, we've seen this loads of times as well because it's an M10 uncommon that's filling the space. It's still an okay effect, but yeah, I'm just getting really bored of seeing it. It's just shown up in pretty much every red deck we've looked at so far in Zendikar. But yeah, say it's a good effect. You gain control of a creature for a turn, swing with it, sure. Two Magma Rifts, two in a red. It's additional cost to cast it. You have to sacrifice a land. It does 5 damage to target creature. So 5 damage is obviously a nice big chunky amount of damage. Like 3 mana and sacrificing a land is pretty steep, I think, for it still. But it needs must, I suppose, and it's a common. Like it's fine. It's a shame because in the not a shame exactly, but in Rise of the Eldrazi we get Flame Slash, and I think Flame Slash is like so much better than this. It being a third of the cost, requiring no land sacrifice and doing 4 damage. So, 1 less damage, sure, but much, much cheaper without needing to sacrifice lands. Searing Blaze is super good though. So 2 red mana, instant speed does 1 damage to a 1 damage to a player and 1 damage to a creature that player controls. If you have landfall go off, it does 3 damage instead to that player and that creature, which is really, really good. Like 2 red mana. So it's if you get landfall, it's essentially 2 lightning bolts in a single card. Sort of, I mean, not exactly, but it basically is. So yeah, this is the Searing Blaze is a super good card. I think even without landfall, this is okay. Just to do 1 damage to a player and 1 damage to a creature, and at instant speed. Yeah, this is really, really good. I really like Searing Blaze. This is a good red landfall card. And then we have 2 Teetering Peaks. This is another one actually that Ruin Ghost can actually benefit from. Because when it comes into play, target creature gets +2/+0 turn, so you could flicker this and keep getting this effect. Teetering Peaks is pretty good. I quite like it. It's one of these common effect lands, and they're all pretty good, honestly. And then 7 Mountain and 9 Plains. Sure. So what could have been, as I say, no alternate rares because I've already said like the rare selection in Worldwake is not wonderful. But I thought maybe Claws of Valakut. This is kind of like a counterpart to Armored Ascension then. So 1 and 2 red gives the enchanted creature +1/+0 for every mountain you control, and it gives it first strike. So this would be quite nice on the Giza Glider or the Step Links, I guess. Crusher Zendikon I thought could have fit in here as well. 2 in a red, turns a land into a 4/2 beast with trample, which is, fine. And Sajiri Step, this is another one that Ruin Ghost could benefit from. So it's one of the white effect lands. Comes in tapped when it enters. Target creature control gets protection from the color of your choice to end of turn. And taps give you white. So this would actually... I mean, this should have been in here because then it has it interacts with chain reaction because you could do Sajiri Step, give one of your creatures pro red. You could use Ruin Ghost to then flicker it, give another creature protection from red, and then you could do chain reaction, and then you've saved at least 2 creatures. That could have been an interesting interaction, but yeah. That's why this is what could have been, I suppose. So in summary, I think it's okay. It's hard to get excited by it. The thing is, it's trying to sell itself as being like, oh yeah, it cares about landfall, but not really. You've got only a few cards in here that care about it, and a lot of kind of substandard picks. I think just normal red white creatures. I say you got like the Grotag Thrasher and the Goblin Rough Rider, which are okay, but I don't know. Are those the best choices? I'm not sure. So it's hard to be impressed by this one, but at least it's red white. At least it's something a little bit different in Worldwake. It's not another vampire deck. It's not another blue green landfall deck. So in that regard alone, it gets some praise for doing something a bit differently, I suppose. What are your thoughts on that deck after seeing it? If you got any thoughts, comments, stories, opinions on this one, stick a comment below. I'll give them a read. But we are now thankfully done with Worldwake. I did not enjoy looking at these decks. I just had so little to say about them. So we're going to move on now. We're going to look at Rise of the Eldrazi, which is the last set of Zendikar block, and it's a weird one because those 5 decks don't use any cards from Worldwake or Zendikar, which is a super weird decision. Rise of the Eldrazi honestly feels like its own little mini set because it introduces so many new mechanics. Like, it doesn't use kicker, it doesn't use landfall, it doesn't use like allies, it doesn't use any of the things that we've established in Zendikar and Worldwake. It really does feel like its own little pocket set. And I do have a lot of things to say about the Rise of Zendikar, the Rise of the Eldrazi decks. But we'll see that next time, won't we, when we start looking at them. But for now, thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day.